Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the We the Locals podcast. My name is Josie.
I'm Jessica.
And we got Stu in the back pushing our buttons, always. More ways than one. And we thank you so much for joining us tonight. We know that you have a lot of options that you can watch, and we thank you for your time that you give to us to hear about all things local. If you could please take a minute to like, share, and subscribe to this episode, as well as to our channel. We greatly appreciate it. Maybe grab the share link and send it out to people in your neighborhood, your precinct, your community, your friends, your neighbors, whoever might want to hear about all things local. It's a kind of a chaotic season right now. Right, Jessica? We're in the middle of the qualifying week.
So this episode is going to drop.
Yes.
As qualifying ends.
Oh, right. Because it is Tuesday.
Right.
Tuesday the
9th today.
Is it the 9th?
Yeah,
it's the 9th. It's the 9th. Still the 9th.
So qualifying has to be done by noon. On
Friday the 12th, yes.
Yeah, so Friday the 12th by noon, they have to get their paperwork in. And then
pay all their money, and that's really where the chips fall.
Right, and then it's got to be uploaded to the site and all of that kind of stuff. So we won't really know maybe until Monday, late afternoon, how everything kind of sets up.
Yeah.
And see how many people are in that qualified mark.
Because when it comes down to it, you got to pay.
Yes.
Most people aren't going to have the petitions done. Very few.
Correct.
So I was looking at the cost to file for a lot of these races, these big races. So county commissioners like $7,200. Congressional races I think are 12 or 10 grand.
Mm-hmm.
The clerk and comptroller I know is like 12 or 13 grand. Governor is like I think 10 or 11. 10 and a half, 10, 11. And because right now there's like 15 people filed to run for governor. So once they have to pay $10,000.
Well, that's just Republicans. There's 15 Republicans.
Is there 15 Republicans?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gosh. Okay. So
then there's Democrats and independents on top of that.
A lot. But once they have to pay that $10,000, it's going to weed out a lot of people from a lot of these races. Yeah. So then we'll really
see a lot of what we've learned in politics. You'll see a lot of money. So they put in their documents to be able to raise money.
They file, yeah.
Yeah, so they file to be able to raise money. That allows them to be able to collect funds, and then they won't qualify or they won't submit the qualifying documents. Then they'll go and they'll push to like a 28 race or something.
Yeah.
So they'll be, so that they can continue to collect funds.
They can continue. Yeah, they can file, push those filing paperworks for another race. Exactly.
Correct.
And then, oh shoot! They also have to do one thing that we're going to see too is for Florida candidates, Form 6. That also will filter people out. So Form 6 is a form that you have to fill out that basically it is invasive. Anything over $600 I think $600.
I thought it was $1,000.
No, I think it's $600. It might be $1,000. It's not much.
No,
it's not a very high. I mean, anything, jewelry, guns, art.
Yeah.
Any type of asset that you have,
anything of
and
value.
that you have jointly, even so, if you own it jointly with your spouse, anything that is of value, you have to disclose.
Yeah. And
so it's very invasive and very detailed. So I know that's a stumbling block for a lot of candidates as well, for their ability to either desire to peel back the layers to show all of that, as well as getting it done right is a big thing. Like, every item of jewelry in someone's jewelry box, if you have someone who's collected jewelry for a long time and you don't get it right, it could cause a problem.
Right. Well, is what I found out, I don't know if I should say this or not, but I'll say it anyway, is
Jessica, think.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
So they don't verify Form 6.
Not unless the opponent has
unless there is a complaint.
A complaint.
Then they will ask for documentation, receipts.
And in this atmosphere that we're in right now, I'd be very surprised that doesn't pop up as a way that they try to take each other down.
Well, it's a way to, file an ethics violation or, campaign violation or whatever. So it's very interesting. So, I mean, I've been the treasurer on a couple campaigns, so I know how important like documentation and making sure, you have your receipt matching up with your paperwork with what matches the bank and what.
I was my own treasurer for my campaign and it was terrible. And I said, never, ever, ever again will I do this.
I've said that too, but I keep getting raked in. People keep saying like, can you please?
Just one more, Jessica.
Just
one more.
Just for me.
For me.
I'm like, fine, whatever.
For me.
Okay. So, Josie, anything that you want to start off with tonight?
Should we do the big one? Property taxes?
Yeah.
Woo! Here we go. All aboard the crazy train.
That's the sexy one.
It's nuts, man. So we've talked about, if you've been following our show for a while, you know that we've been discussing this. It's been discussed in Florida ad nauseum. And I think this is what's interesting, though, too, is because if you look on X, there's so much craziness there. And there are people who are like, because, all right, so in summary of what happened since our last episode, like an actual thing, it's not just being discussed, it is now an actual thing, is that the governor put out what he wanted. He wrote what he wanted to have happen and called a special session and sent it to the legislature. They had 3 days, 4 days, including a weekend. So like 2 business days and a weekend to read through it, which is not very long to actually read through and all these things. And then they put it to a vote. They made some amendments, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. And then it got passed through the House, Senate, signed by the governor. It's going on to the ballot. Oh, no, he doesn't sign it. I'm sorry. Because it's not a bill. Correct. It's not a law. He doesn't sign it. He doesn't have to sign it because it's going to the people. We get to sign it, essentially. Right. So the thing that I'm seeing that I want to kind of point out many things, but the first thing is a lot of people were pointing out that for the legislatures, it was a very short window of time for them to actually do their due diligence. And a lot of people complained about that statement, saying that they've had plenty of time to look at this. But here's the thing. Until something is actually written and you have something that you have to research and deliberate and weigh the costs, if it's just an arbitrary conversation, you can't, as a legislature, you can't actually really weigh that information correctly because it's lacking information. It's not a real thing. It's just an arbitrary discussion. It's like discussing what you're going to have for dinner and then actually reading the recipe and seeing what ingredients you need to have. Right. That's what happens. So it's like they're saying, okay, this is what we're having for dinner. This is what we're having for dinner. And then they were given like 20 minutes essentially to have a gourmet recipe ingredient list that they had to shop for, plan for, purchase, and cook. Yeah. Is essentially like the analogy.
It's a good place to put it.
Yeah. So, which I feel like is, I don't really think that's fair to the citizens of Florida and the residents of the state of Florida that they did not have the time to actually work on the verbiage because there are so many holes in this. There's so many questions that nobody has answers to. And it's going to go to the voters, and the voters are going to pass it, and there's going to be so many questions. So let's talk about that. Or what do you want to say first, and then we can delve into what's your initial opening salvo on this conversation?
I mean, first and foremost, everybody wants lower taxes, right?
Yes.
And so, there's that's not a discussion. That's not part of the discussion. The discussion, has already been made. The voters want less taxes. So this is then a proposal that's kind of brought forth, and it was up to our legislator to kind of, legislature to be able to, as you said, like put together the proper recipe to make sure that you got a fully cooked meal at the end. But there's no requirements for that either. So, it's really up to who we put in charge to be able to make these choices and decisions on what, and, Governor DeSantis's plan had a backup plan, making sure that the, which I think is a big one that I don't think people understand, was that part of DeSantis's plan was to have a backup fund for counties or cities.
Which I hate that idea. However, at least it was a plan.
So that if they did become fiscally insolvent, they could come to the state and say, hey, we want to tap into those funds, and this is why, and this is our plan, to go forward. So our legislature decided that there was no rainy day fund for our cities and our counties, and that because you have special taxing districts and community development districts that are all going to be affected by.
They're all going to go away. So like we have they're
not going to go away.
What are they going to do?
So it's based on the millage, based on the percentage of assessed value. So
that's true.
So
they're going to raise the millage rates.
Well,
for the people who are
your
in the
special
higher
taxing districts and stuff are going to go through, and they are going to raise rates.
Everyone's going to raise rates. city, county, they're all going to raise rates because they're going to have to, because they're going to still get that money coming in from the higher housing assessed value.
Yes.
You're right. And then, so they're going to milk and on commercial properties. They're going to raise the millage rate on commercial properties too, is likely what's going to happen.
Right. Because now remember, this tax amendment reduces the 10% cap and the 3% cap.
Yeah.
So if you're homesteaded, right now it is that the most that your property tax assessment can go up is by 3%. So regardless if, your house increases a value of $100,000, it can only be 3% of the whole. And then property or business and real estate properties that are not homesteaded are 10% cap. So with this amendment, it goes down to 1% for homesteaded. So even if you are above that $250,000 threshold after 5 years it goes, or 3 years, 2 years?
Isn't it 250 first and then 500 in 3 years?
No, it's 150 first and then 250.
And then 250?
And I think that's 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. It could be 5.
This is why I have to have things written down in front of me, because I can't remember. I tried to do math the other day in front of some people, like simple math in my head, and it came out really badly. And I was like, ooh, I probably shouldn't tell them I homeschool my children.
Well, I get the 5 years because you have to be homesteaded for 5 years to get this additional assessment, to get this additional reduction. So it's not just blanketed. You have to have homesteaded for 5 years.
And then after your 5 years, you can apply for it?
Or
does it kick in automatically?
It kicks in the additional reduction. So every homesteaded property already gets $50,000, and then you're eligible for up to another, I think, $75,000.
I think we won't. I'm trying to remember, because when we moved in, I don't think our homestead kicked in until later into the year.
It would have been the next full year that you were homesteaded.
Yeah, so we actually then haven't been homesteaded for 5 years.
First year is 150, and then 2028 it'll be 250.
Yeah.
Okay, so by 2028, this amendment would be that your taxable value gets reduced by the first $250,000. So if you have a home value of $500,000, you're still going to pay a millage on $500,000 or on $250,000.
Right. So that millage right now in Palm Beach County is 4.6. I think 4.6, 4.5,
4.4,
4.4.
4.4, 4.5. I don't
something like that.
Thing.
Yeah, but they can raise it up to 10.
Yes,
up to 10. So if what's likely to happen is like you said, these special taxing districts, counties and cities who need to find revenue somewhere and then on businesses, because I think there's a cap on businesses also.
It's 5%. So it goes from 10% down to 5% max.
On the businesses,
business and non-homesteaded properties,
right? So those, but then again, if they can raise the millage rate on those and tax them, so that means prices are going to increase for businesses and rentals.
If our cities, counties don't make changes to their budgets on what they're going to fund and what they're not going to fund, that we're gonna have some issues.
Yeah. And even if they do make changes to what they are going to fund, again, like as a reminder, the money, all what you see on a budget is not all the property taxes.
No.
It's not homesteaded property taxes. It's like 23% of the budget is homesteaded property in Palm Beach County.
Correct.
And the rest is, as we've talked about many times on this show, Jessica's done great conversations about the pass-through money, the money that comes from here, the money, our reserves are counted in the budget. Like anything that touches the county, the $5 million that's coming from the state to change Palm Beach International Airport to Trump the DJT Airport. Yep. That increases our county budget by $5 million because once it touches the county, even if it's just going over to the airport administration, it still gets counted. And so
whatever comes in has to be documented as what we would consider income or revenue. And then there has to be an additional line item expense that has it go out.
I mean, so
regardless of what comes in, we have to account for every single dollar, it's somebody's tax money, like somebody's paid for it along the way somewhere. Right. That's how we've gotten it. But at the end of the day, our ad valorem taxes in Palm Beach County, just Palm Beach County, is 22% of our overall budget.
Right. So
which is minuscule.
But that is what pays for. It's enough to pay for our fire, our sheriff, our
all of your constitutional officers.
All of your constitutional officers are the trash. Well, the trash is a different strike. The trash pickup. The roads. Just a reminder, infrastructure. The county oversees this enough road that if it was stretched out from stretched from Palm Beach County from Miami to Seattle, that's how much road the county oversees. That's not what the cities and the state oversee. The county oversees that amount of road, and that all comes from these tax dollars.
Yep.
So, and I'm going to explain something too that I've heard pushed back on me on X and different places where I've mentioned this. Well, people are like, well, I pay a gas tax. I pay money to the DMV. How come that doesn't pay for roads? So let me explain a couple things. The gas tax is mandated by the state, and a majority of it goes back to the state. Our county tried to cut our gas tax, and the state would not allow it. So there is a slight variability. Gas is cheaper in Broward County than in Palm Beach County because of that, but it's not enough. It's very small. I want to say I think we get 12 cents per gallon that come to the county.
I think DeSantis was even in a press conference a couple weeks, within the last week or so, because I think he was asked that question: why doesn't the state reduce gas tax? And he actually said, he goes, we could do that. But what's going to happen is that the vendors are just going to raise it. They're just going to raise the prices to get the same amount of money. And so you're going to save 3 cents at the pump.
Yeah, it's not much. And so, that's right. 12 cents a gallon goes to the county, which is not, you think it's a lot, but it's really not.
No.
Not really when you consider how much 1 mile of road striping can cost over $1 million. Okay? I'm sorry, road paving. Redoing a road work costs just 1 mile costs over $1 million.
Yep.
So that doesn't include the striping, and that doesn't include the landscaping, and that doesn't include any of the other stuff that comes with fixing that road. So perspective. And then DMV fees, car registration fees, all of those things go to the state, and a few pennies come back to the county.
And it runs the tax collector's office.
Yes.
They get their administrative so that the counties now your ad valorem taxes pay for the tax collector, but it doesn't pay for those services.
The administration services.
So the administration services stay within that constitutional officer. I think property taxes ran that way, and the tax collector's office is that way. The property appraiser
I was going to say,
and the tax
yeah.
collectors.
So just to kind of put that in perspective,
and the clerk and
comptroller.
Yeah.
Put it in perspective. How much? It's not much. Everyone thinks that they're paying all this money when they go to the DMV. Yes, we do pay it. It's a pain in the neck, but it goes to the state, and the county gets a few pennies. So we've got how many drivers? If you have 5 cents per registration or 5 cents per DMV renewal every year, which you don't even renew your DMV driver's license every year. Think about the numbers, people. The numbers. I had people saying that to me, and I was like, really? That's how much are you paying for your car registration? Because I'm pretty sure that while it's a pain in the butt that we have to pay it, it's a very small amount, especially compared to other states, man. Do you know what they have to pay in other states for car registrations? And they have to get inspections done. They have to do so much other stuff.
I know. We're actually pretty cheap when it comes to that.
I know. That's what I was saying. I was like, that doesn't pay much. That's not going to cover a road stretching from Miami to Seattle.
Right.
That's just my county.
Right. Well, and remember to put this into a little bit of perspective, and this is the thing what a lot of people don't understand. I want to reduce my property taxes, but just because your property taxes get reduced and you get this extra, you're still going to get a tax bill, because at the end of the day, and I'll try to take a screenshot of this and post it as well, so you can see it up on the screen, is that 54% goes to the school board.
Which, by the way, DeSantis put into his written bill to be removed, for that to be taken out as well. That included in this, and the legislators put it back in. You know why? Because it would have never passed.
Yep.
So we're still paying 54%. We're still going to be paying that same amount, possibly more, because they're like, oh, they don't have to pay any other taxes. Let's raise their millage rate.
And then you have 35% that goes to Palm Beach County. And then you have 5.2% that goes to the healthcare district of Palm Beach County. And then you have 3.8% that goes to the Children's Services Council. And then you have 1.8% that goes to the South Florida Water Management District. And then you have 0.2% that goes to the Florida Inland Navigation District.
And that's if you don't live in a city.
Right. So then if you have a municipality, you could have your additional municipal millage. You could also live in a special taxing district, and you could also be in an assessed development. All of those you will still have to pay, even if your house is worth less than $250,000.
These assessed ones, not the special taxing districts.
Yeah, because they're based on a millage of the assessed value. So if they're over $250,000, they will still have.
Yeah, you'll still be. Yeah. But if you're less than that, that's why all of these budgets are going to crash.
Right. So is what
on these special taxing districts.
So the purpose of this, from my understanding, is that there's a lot of homes in Florida that are being threatened to be taken away because of unpaid tax. And by doing this, it will eliminate that happening for most, if not all, of these people that are behind in their taxes that are being threatened to be levied for whatever reason. Now, we don't do that in Palm Beach County. We let you kind of hang out for a while and not go after you so much. But the whole thing...
They're going to now. No, I'm just kidding.
So there... And then there comes a part of like, what services do we provide and what services do we not provide, and where does that money come through? Because still at the end of the day, and I've said this till I'm blue in the face, like, look at how we tackle homelessness. We have homelessness that we attack on a city level, on a county level, on a state level, and a national level, but we still have homeless everywhere. So it's kind of obvious that when we throw money at a problem, it doesn't actually fix it. And the same thing's going to happen. If we take away the funding, it doesn't fix anything. It's just a distribution of how the money is going to be collected eventually.
I've seen yeah, exactly. What they're going to probably do is they're going to create assessment districts. And say oh, okay, you live in this, so the beaches and parks, instead of it being a taxing district, will become an assessment district. So you have to pay $100 per household, or you have to pay this, which I already pay for my beach pass, or they're going to make the beach passes crazy expensive, or fees to go to parks.
Right. So it's very interesting. So I actually do work with the REC, the Republican Executive Committee, and I'm on the candidate recruitment. And so we're always looking for candidates to run for, whatever seats are up for election. And one of the things is these community development districts. And it's very interesting. So most of you probably don't even know if you live in one. If you do, it's probably just a small little line item on your tax bill that you really don't even, pay attention to. And it's probably pretty small. But is what I've realized that there's all of these community districts that are plotted. So let's say it's 100 homes in this one little section that's defined by an ordinance, that ordinance sets what the plat is and how much the assessed value is, and then every year they do an assessment based on what infrastructure and stuff is needed for those 100 homes, 200 homes, whatever it would be. But what happens is that is ran by its own separate board. So it's kind of like a taxing district, like your Indian Trails Improvement Districts or your Greater Boca Raton Parks and, Beaches and Parks District. It's kind of like that, but it's at a smaller scale. They outsource all of the management to it. And so there were a few of these that I looked into, and this is something I'm going to start educating people on in the masses. So I'm starting here, so lucky you, is that there's these, it's an elected position. You have to elect these people to sit on these boards. But let's say they have a revenue of, let's say, $200,000 that comes into this community development district
Through the assessment
assessment that's based on a percentage of your value of your home, is that half of it or more is just management fees to manage the money. So a majority of the funds that you think that are going to help with your swales and your drainage districts and, your road improvements or whatever in your little platted area, most of that money is actually going to these management firms.
I'm telling you what, I'm in the wrong business
care
in life.
of all of this. And the board members don't really oversee anything. They just sign off on it.
I wonder how many of them own the management companies.
Well, that's the thing. And so like there's one in Boynton that's it's managed by a firm in Boca.
Excuse
so
you.
It's like, what does their office in Boca have anything to do with Boynton Beach, by 95 and Boynton Beach Boulevard?
Huh.
But in order to be in one of those elected positions on that board, you have to live within those 200 homes. And how many people know that? And how many people have been reelected?
Just because nobody else knows that they should run against them.
And many of these seats are vacant.
Yeah.
So you're just leaving it up to the management company to do what they want at will.
And just say, hey, we need more money.
Yeah. So there's nothing to stop them from like, oh, well, we'll just increase our rate. We'll do this. And then again, they do that. It's so the management company can keep their portion of the fees because they're not going to reduce.
Insane.
They're not going to reduce their fees.
So this is like an HOA.
Yes.
It's like a government HOA, which you know what is going to happen when some of these small cities start disappearing that don't have a lot of commercial or rental properties. Like Manalapan, like some of them are going to be wealthy, so that's what they're going to do. And then the smaller ones that are not wealthy out like in the acreage are just going to probably be absorbed by the county.
Yeah.
Which some of them might need to happen anyway. I know the county subsidizes a lot of those smaller, poorer, less affluent is what I should say. I'm so sorry. Get yelled at here. Less affluent cities, the county subsidizes or pays for basically all or provides all of the services for them anyway, and yet they still collect taxes from their residents and pay for like city managers that don't do anything,
right?
Because they're not managing anything because it's all managed by the county.
And we've been hearing the scuttlebutt across the state for a long time, with our representatives and senators, that the state would love to see a lot of our municipalities go away. They have been saying that for, as long as I've been in politics. That
so much for small government.
I've been hearing this.
I think that if you're a self-sustaining city and you're able to pay for your things, then sure. That's what I don't like. I see where, like, again, we're talking about, like, Pahokee. Their police is contracted with the sheriff. Their fire is contracted with Palm Beach County. Like the county does everything. So that means we are subsidizing it because I and Boca pay money to the county that then goes to pay for the sheriff, and I pay for money that goes to the police department. So I pay for safety twice, and so my money subsidizes their contracts. They pay their contract to the sheriff, but It subsidizes the cost for the sheriff to provide services for them. So,
well, and not to mention the extra cost, because it's like you're all the way out there in Pahokee, so far different than the residential area of Palm Beach County. So they have to put a substation out there. Yep. They have to staff it. There's a lot of cost to that a city like Pahokee, Belle Glade, like they're just not able to,
so there's going to be, it's going to, so what's going to happen though in some of these more wealthier cities like Ocean Ridge, Manalapan, they don't have commercial. Mm-hmm. They don't really have a lot of rentals. A lot of it is owned homes.
Right.
Homestead.
Or second homes.
So the second homes within, so then the millage rates are going to, but will it be enough to subsidize the costs of their beautiful little towns, or will they become assessed, platted?
So my understanding is that Palm Beach County would lose about $64 million. I think that's the number that I heard. was $64 million of ad valorem taxes.
Sorry, I'm running numbers in my head. I mean, considering our budget's $9 billion this year.
But the
I know.
22%.
So what's the percentage? So the question is what's the percentage of the 23%? How much is 60? You said 64 million. So 64 million is what percentage of the 22%?
Stu, you got it? Are you paying attention?
Does that question make sense? 60. If Palm Beach County's ad valorem taxes is 22% of the total budget, and they're going to lose $64 million from ad valorem taxes, what percentage of that 22 is $64 million? How much money? I guess the question is 22% is how much money of an $8 billion budget? See,
well, $9 billion. It's almost of a $9 billion budget. It's almost $2 billion.
So 64 million of $2 billion is 20%, 10%. Sorry, we're getting in the zeros that I can't count in my head.
I can't even count.
We're writing numbers, guys. Don't tell anyone that I homeschool my children.
Yeah. Don't tell anybody I do accounting for a living.
I did, though. I was actually very proud of myself. Fun story while you're doing this. 64 million. My daughter is learning all the different fraction processes. So like adding fractions, subtracting fractions, whole numbers, mixed numbers, adding them, borrowing from the whole number to convert the numerator and denominator. Anyway, I remembered how to do it. And I've been able to teach her how to do it. And I'm very impressed with myself, guys. I'm just going to say.
I'm very proud of you.
I am very proud of me. Me too. I was like, wait. I mean, I did have to look up a couple of things, but for the most part, I was able.
3%.
3%. I mean, that's not insane.
If I did that right.
0.002.
0.02? Or point?
0.0026 is what it is.
So then that's not even a percentage.
It has to be a percentage.
It's 0.002.
Well, no, on billion.
On $24 billion.
No. 2 billion. 64 million is how much percentage of 2 billion?
Yeah.
I was like, that's not right. I might not know the answer, but I know that's not it.
He had it, so I just clicked it off. So anyway. Okay. Anyway, it's minuscule.
0.032.
But it's 0.032. Okay, so I was right.
3%.
So
that's not an insane percentage.
It's not. And I know like Administrator Bruzio had all of his departments come back with 5, 10, and 15%, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and they also came back with what the list of things that they would cut.
Yeah. And on that, the first budget workshop, I think, was this afternoon. So this is being recorded Tuesday, the 9th. The first county budget workshop was this afternoon. So yes. I haven't had a chance to watch that yet.
Me neither.
Before we were able to record. So that there might be some good information on there.
We could probably put the link. Sorry. We should probably put the link in the show notes.
Yeah,
for that if you would like to watch it for yourself.
Yeah, I can do that
with
too.
some coffee that I need apparently.
So it's very interesting, all of this tax talk, because you're gonna have your commissioners, your city councils, your elected officials all poo-pooing this tax reduction, and then you're going to have all of these people that want their tax they want their taxes reduced. So is what happens.
No, they want their taxes to go away, which is what they think is going to happen. And
correct.
So that is a huge thing that we need to educate people. Your taxes are not going away.
Right.
You're still going to be paying school board taxes. You're still going to be paying assessed value taxes. You're still going to, for example, on the Solid Waste Authority, you're still paying, I think, it's going to be $219 for per individual household, $219 for the year. That's still because that's an assessed. It's not an assessed because it's not based on the value.
Fee.
It's a fee. Thank you. It's a tipping fee.
Yeah.
Or not a tipping fee, but it's the fee.
It's an assessed fee.
Yeah. So that's still going to be there. You're still paying money to the government.
Yeah. I mean, you're looking at you're going to maybe reduce by 35 possibly 40% if you take down that the fact that the other one's based on an assessed value as well. So if they take off the same reduction when it comes to, like Children's Services Council or, assessed taxing districts or whatever. So once they calculate your ad valorem minus the reductions, there's going to be a savings there. But I'm telling you, and I think I did this before, but it was like $200 or something. There was an episode that we talked about this, that we were like, oh, if taxes go away, you're really only going to save like $200 on your tax bill.
It's a little more than that. I think it depends on your assessed value.
Yeah,
There's a lot of things.
It's
going to be, I looked it up. It's probably like, for us, just like we're kind of like a middle of the ground people, like of our home and assessed value and what we do. We'll probably save like $3,000 a year, which, very helpful.
Yeah.
The question is will they still come pick up my trash twice a week? And will we still have parks? And will we still have services? Will my roads still be paved? That's the question. I hope so. I know that city of Boca Raton green new council members are kind of freaking out. And it's kind of funny to watch. Not going to lie.
I said I think they were set up to fail because nobody wanted to deal with this nonsense. And when all of this comes and there's this property fight, with downtown Boca, people were like, okay, let's see how this is going to play out.
So, so bad. Yeah, I was going to say something else about that. It's been, I saw Fran the other day and she's been going to, she's at the council meeting tonight and she's like, it just is.
It just is.
It just is. It's so insane to watch like the whole thing unfold. And now, I don't know. Should we talk about any of the congressional races?
Yes. The only thing that I want to mention on the tax amendment thing is that a lot of the senators and representatives, including our local ones here, their thing is that property values have increased astronomically since COVID, and budgets have increased. Nobody's cutting budgets. And so this was also the thing of it makes the cities force them to look at their budgets.
Yeah,
and see
which
what
I think is a
could
great
cut.
thing. I think
there is that.
Yes, and I do think that the counties and cities, if they have, and this is where we're really going to see good governance and not good governance. And so if we see, and you're going to really, and I think it's actually coming at a good time because because of elections, we're going to be able to look at the county. If you live in Palm Beach County, look at your county commissioners. If you live in another county, look at your county commissioners. And then be paying attention to, because the municipal elections will be just a few months after.
Yeah.
The candidates will all be filing by the time the November elections roll around. So it's very good to be paying attention to how your council members and your commissioners handle these things. Do they have an understanding of how this will affect them? Are they like, all right, let's go, let's cut? Or are they like panicking and freaking out on how we're going to do this? And are they saying, okay, or are they educating the public? Like, I really like to see, this is like, if I do get a chance to run into any of the Boca City council members, I'm going to say, okay, so what's your plan? What's your plan? Like, how do you how is this going to affect me? Yep. They should know, and if they can't articulate how this could affect you, they need to be held accountable for that. This is a really good time for us to hold a magnifying lens up to these electeds and really see who knows their stuff and who's there to govern for the people and not govern for the sound bites and govern for their next job. And that's what a lot of them are going to do.
You're 100%. And it comes down to looking at your budgets that are going on right now. Yeah. All of your counties and your cities are all starting their budget negotiations and talks right now. Now, really awesome. I have to give a shout out to Boynton Beach because the city manager, Dan Duggar, actually presented a proposal for Boynton to be net zero for their ad valorem taxes within 5 years. So this is something that they have been proactive on. They knew that this was coming, and they have a rollout plan to do that. I haven't seen any of the other cities do that, but I haven't dived into it.
Boga's just trying to get a police chief, right? Which we just appointed.
So,
gosh,
so kudos to Boynton Beach.
Good job, Boynton Beach. I said, and I said it again.
Yeah.
if you were looking to move to South Florida, it's a good spot to
But
look
their
in.
plan has to get rid of their own police and get rid of their own fire. And
What are they going to contract with the sheriff?
Get it contracted through the
Shoot.
county.
His budget's going to go cuckoo bananas.
You know, so it's like it's cheaper for the city of Boynton to outsource those services than to have that because of why? Because of your pension plans.
They can't
That
touch
is-
the pension plans. They'll
that
all
is-
get voted out of office immediately.
That is the biggest thing that our municipalities have when they have their own fire and police that they have to deal with. And it's a recurring cost.
And it's an increasing cost.
And it's an increase.
and they
it's an
cannot vote
ever-
against it, because if they vote against it, they will be called defunders of the police.
Yeah.
They will be
well,
called.
look at Del Rey. Del Rey had to, whip through a whole little rigmarole with, trying to negotiate and, making sure that they were able to keep their police department. And it was touch and go. And the council got a lot of pushback from residents and stuff for not signing and agreeing, to the union requests, demands, whatever you want to say. But also at the same time, here the city of Del Rey is going, we can't afford this. Mm-hmm. You're telling us that we have to, but yet we can't afford this, and there's no negotiation in the process.
Right.
And so
yeah, it's a problem.
so that's when, we understand our first responder. My heart is huge when it comes to, our first responders and what they do for us. I can't, we owe our local heroes so much, but at what cost,
Right. Well, and that's where we, yeah, exactly.
It's like, do we pay for pension plans or do we pay for parks for our kids? Because I do know most NPAs that we want to vote to our side so we can actually win elections. If you start cutting their services like parks and playgrounds and children's services and activities.
Roads, if the roads are getting bad, if their daily lives are impacted significantly.
NPAs will never vote for a Republican again.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's a good point.
So
it's a sticky world.
It is a sticky world. So we have a lot of change up in Congress. We don't talk about Congress so much, but
it will be a lot. I feel like
it
this
is the
cycle.
talk of the town, and I think it's going to be all highlighted on Palm Beach County when it comes to the congressional races here in Florida. The redistricting really kind of
took the table and flipped. All the pieces are just up in the air, and everyone's shuffling around and grifting away. We got lots of grifters, guys.
Yeah. So I was able to find out the stats for these new districts so that people are probably wondering what is our tilt? That's political lingo for those that don't know. Tilt means which way does it lean? Does it lean Republican or does it lean Democrat? So you have the new District 21, which didn't change very much, which is Brian Mast's district. He's the incumbent. And I actually think that his opponent dropped out. So I don't think he has a primary. He may, but
I believe he wasn't in the last one, so we'll find
yeah.
out.
So unless somebody qualifies against him this week, hopefully he doesn't have a.
Everyone's just holding on.
I know.
Just waiting for that noon to hit on Friday.
So Brian Mast district is now an R+18. And then District 22, which is a new district that took over CD District 20, which was that weird gerrymandered district that came in through Palm Beach County and then down through Broward. So 22 takes care of most of that, which is now an R+10.
And that goes all the way to Naples.
Yes.
I'm actually surprised we're not getting any candidates from the western part
are.
of the state.
We have
Oh, we
some.
are? Oh.
There's a couple.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Oh, good.
And
That shakes it up a little bit. Shakes up our
and then
eastern
you have
coast
and then you
over
have
here.
CD 23, which is now the old Lois Frankel district.
Yes.
Which was 22, but 23 is now just a little blimp. It's Delray to West Palm, and it's east of 95. We've set it's south to north to north to River Valley Beach, which is just south of West Palm Beach. And so you have that whole Lois Frankel, you've heard us talk about on the show, like that blue wall. We've talked about that there's this deep blue wall east of 95, and that encompasses all of those voters that they've been able to kind of condense into this 23.
It's the one blue circle.
So Lois Frankel is running in that seat. She did qualify, and so did Victoria Doyle.
That's her opponent.
So there is going to be a Democrat primary.
Yeah.
So that's going to be very interesting
All
to
aboard
watch.
the crazy train.
And Victoria Doyle is worse and crazier than Lois Frankel, in my personal opinion.
Oh, good. Yay.
So if you hear us kind of, like voting for Lois, it's not, we won't vote for her because we're
Republicans.
But, as far as like, well, if you're a Democrat, you may want to vote for, you may want to vet your candidates.
Good way to put it.
And so then we only have, I think, nobody's qualified yet.
Deborah Deemy hasn't qualified?
Nope, she has not qualified. She's filed, but nobody has qualified as a Republican to run in
we
that.
still
As
have
of this
3
afternoon.
days, 2.5 days left.
Right. So we're thinking it's probably going to be Deborah Deemy, but we haven't.
Oh my
gotten
gosh,
the
Deborah
con-
Deemy's going to be like, woohoo, no primary. Bye, Dan Francis.
We know who it's not going to be because he didn't want to run against Lois, even though he says he wanted to.
Oh, yeah, no. We're going to get to that in a second because I have some words.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say them on public, and I'll say them to his face.
So District 23, the new district, this Lois Frankel would be considered as the incumbent in, is a D plus 16. Okay, this is Trump's backyard.
This is why they're all jumping ship.
Right, exactly. And so then the last congressional district that we have in Palm Beach County is District 25, is now an R plus 5. And this goes...
It's not a solid red district. I'm just going to say. Everyone thinks it is. It's really not.
No. And so this goes from the southern tip of Delray, and it goes all the way north to...
South.
Or all the way south to the end of Fort Lauderdale. No, Miami.
It goes to Miami Beach.
It goes to Miami Beach.
Not
You're
just
right.
Miami Beach. And it goes it is the barrier island with a little bit inland.
Yep.
So like
all your coastal
I'm in
community.
this district because I'm a coastal community, but it doesn't go all the way down on the coastal communities. It like is up north. It's on the coastal community, on the inland coastal community, and then as it gets further south, it's just the barrier island.
Yeah.
So it's like you've got Bal Harbor, I think, whatever the neighborhoods are that are on the barrier, all the way to Miami Beach.
Yeah.
It is long. And it is crazy.
And
I feel like ours has got I don't know if this one or 22 is going to be the most cuckoo bananas, but I feel like
it's going to be very interesting. But you have some prominent, in District 25, the Democrat is Jared Moskowitz, who's going to be.
Yeah, he has no one.
Right.
No opponent. And a lot of people call him moderate. He's a more moderate Democrat. And he is. He's not a flaming leftist. I disagree. He still votes with the leftists most of the time. But he's not. I feel like as we look at the left and how they're kind of rebranding themselves as even crazier than they were even like 2 years ago during Trump. Like one of the reasons that Trump got elected is because the left is loony bins, like lost their minds. They have not recovered their minds. Like they're just losing them more and more and more. And so as that happens, the people who are not going more and more loony seem much more normal. And he's one of those.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying it's not a solid red district. You're going to get people who are like, he's good. I'll vote for him because they don't because we have 5 or 6 Republicans
For 25?
Yeah.
George, Joe, Dan,
Scott,
Raven.
I think there's
Now
one
half
more.
of these haven't even qualified yet.
That's correct. Scott qualified, Dan qualified, which we're going to talk for a second about people who jump ship on races that they can't win to come try to win in races that they can't. It's very, very frustrating. And I also find it mildly offensive. This is my personal rant for the night. It's mildly offensive when someone who knows the people in the district who are prominent, or maybe not prominent, but at least on the political scene, know the issues or know what's going on and don't bother to even discuss running in their district saying, hey, I'm coming to your district. I'd like to try to run. Can I get your support? Can you tell me the issues? What should I do? Nothing. He just waltzes right in and starts door knocking in my neighborhood and putting his signs everywhere. Doesn't live here. Doesn't know anything about the district.
No.
Just coming in and doesn't give us the courtesy of even saying, hey, and then trash talks our former mayor, which I get to do because he's my mayor. It's like your brother. No, you can trash talk your brother all you want, but if someone else tries to trash talk your brother, you're going to fight him. I really feel like that right now. Like, you know what? Don't come into my city and discuss things about things you don't know about. You don't know any of this information. Putting out mailers, hit pieces with information about my city that you know nothing about is just, what's a word for this besides annoying? It's annoying, but it's rude. What's a word for rude, annoying, and just, I need a word, Stu.
I don't know. It's beyond frustrating because
yes, it's beyond frustrating.
Especially when we've supported people in the past for running for other seats or whatever. It's almost like oh well,
it's entitlement.
Yes. So it's like I feel like they're like, oh well, you supported me before, so you're going to support me now. Like there's no there's no conversation.
There's no conversation, and there's no like, oh, I'm coming to your city, and I'm going to. Is this true? The man put out a mailer talking about the Save Boca stuff. He knows nothing about it. Nothing. It's not correct information what he put out as a hit piece on Scott Singer. Like, let's go. But like, you know nothing about it. And now you're coming here and door knocking and then telling people, going through the neighborhoods and telling people that the Trump team told you not to run in the district you were in, but to come run in my district. Which I call bull crap on.
Bull.
If that's true, I want to see it in writing from someone from the Trump team with like proving. I want to see it in writing. I want to hear that that is actually true because I don't believe that for a second.
I love how Trump's name, I think I said this earlier, but I'm like, I love how Trump's name just gets thrown all willy-nilly.
It's like Beetlejuice.
Around in Palm Beach County because I'm like, if you know anything about, like, I'm not friends with anybody within the Trump administration. I'm not. But I know people who know people. And it's kind of like if you actually understand like how it works, you're like, yeah, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't
it didn't
think
happen.
So. Yeah.
And so to come here and tell people, and even if it did, it's manipulative and I hate it. Because you're coming in here and you're telling people, well, because Trump said this, then you should vote for my candidate. There was a door knocker who came to my mom's door and told her this. And now my mom thankfully has me to be like, no, that's not true. She was like, oh, he sounds great. I was like, he's not great. Like, no, this is not correct information. Like, this is not correct. He's a grifter. He doesn't know anything about this district. He doesn't know anything about Miami. That's for sure. Like, come on. I honestly wish we had some Cuban running in here from Miami and was like, I'm running for this seat just to shake it up a little bit. Because bless you, because that district, that area is not going to be represented by whoever, by this person especially, because they do not live here. They live up north of the north part of Palm Beach County. They know nothing about Broward County, know nothing about Miami. And yet they're coming in and saying, please vote for me because Trump said that I should run here.
I would have had
bull freaking crap.
I would have had way more respect if he would have stayed in 23.
Or at a minimum, come and talk to us.
Yeah.
At a minimum said, hey, we're all in REC together. Hey, just have a conversation. What do you think? Like, can I get your support? Can you tell me some information about down there? Is this true about what happened with your mayor? Like, any of it. Butt kiss.
Yeah.
But no one from his team, nobody.
Yeah. And it's very interesting because we have a large grassroots community down here that is very active and works really well, and they're not having it. They don't want anything to do with them. And so it's very interesting how this is all going to play out. And I wouldn't even say that he's a nice enough guy because I can't even say that anymore based on my own personal experiences. That it's just sad. It's just sad.
It's a bummer
that he had an opportunity and he chose to piss it away.
Mm-hmm.
So That's his choice, and we're gonna find a lot of this going on. News of the hour, Sarah Baxter, is now running in CD 22. She is not going to seek re-election for her commission seat. She's gonna run for Congress, and so
she's the mayor of the county, the incumbent commissioner for District 6, and she's jumping ship halfway through, which could have been an 8-year term, her half to run for greener pastures, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. And so, it's quite sad because I don't think she has the ability or the stretch or the money to be able to pull anything like this off. I mean, I am a little biased, but at the it's interesting.
It's wild.
It's interesting to say the least.
And yet there is a school board member, a wildly leftist school board member, running unopposed.
Not due to lack of trying, because I have tried to find a candidate.
No, I know.
And they refuse, because
they want to run for Congress.
Or they, are like, no, I'm going to run in this district because it's open. I'm not willing to run against him. And that's just sad. If I lived in District 7, I probably would have qualified to run just to put somebody there. Yeah. I really would have. Because I'm like, we cannot have this. We had hundreds of people show up at a school board meeting to oppose this guy and to tell him what a piece of shit he is, and we can't even find a single person to run up against him.
It's insane.
He looks like his shit doesn't stink now.
Yeah.
He can do whatever he wants. He will be completely brazen for the next 4 years.
Yeah. He will. And it's in that area where a lot of these people are. So one of these congressional candidates could be like, you know what? I should run for school board. I should do something that's going to actually better my community instead of pee away millions of dollars in primaries.
And that's the thing. A lot of people get upset and, with candidate recruitment, right? So the calls we get, oh my God. It's quite funny. Well, why don't you have somebody here? Why don't you have
let me just magically conjure somebody.
Yeah. My favorite is, why do we have 5 people running for that seat? And it's like, why don't you call and ask those 5 people?
I'll give you their phone numbers.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, I called up Tiffany Bryant myself for District 4 school board and said, hey, I think you should reconsider this. And she outright refused and was nasty to me on the phone. And I said, oh, okay, I guess this is about you winning and not actually flipping our school board and saving our children. Got it. And she was like, well, no, it's not. I'm like, but that's exactly what you're telling me. You're telling me that you would much rather go for the easy seat, or what you think is the easy seat, and go up against another capable Republican instead of being a mile east of where you are right now and running against this jerk that I'm like, we could flip 7, 4, and 6 on the school board this year. If we actually had a candidate run in 7 and no other Republicans, we could have put the full force of the Republican Party behind our school board candidates and flipped the school board. But because she chose that she doesn't want to do that, we can't do that now.
Because she's a Republican, so we can't even support anybody in that race.
We have to stay completely out of it. There is nothing we can do as a party to help those candidates.
That's insane.
Besides,
this is why we lose.
And so it's like, people ask, like, why are 5 people, or why can't we find anybody?
I need a vacation.
It's definitely right.
I need a vacation.
It's not lack of trying. And these are the things, like, this is why it's so important to get involved and know what's going on and who your elected officials are. And if you're not,
the hair's going up. I can't deal with it anymore.
And if you're not interested in running, that's fine. But maybe you heard somebody talk and was like, oh my gosh, they'd make a great commissioner or a great councilman or on a board or whatever. Like,
get them involved.
Yeah, get them involved, and then you don't even have to be the one to call them or talk to them. You can actually send me an email, and I will talk to them and say, hey, we heard that you might be a good person for elected office. We want to have a conversation with you. And that's basically how it starts. And then 9 times out of 10, we don't want them, but at the same time, it leads to more connections, and you never know where that's going to lead. And I'm just, I mean, we have some crazy people that call us and ask questions and want to run for office. And also at the same point, for these midterms coming into 2026 across the board, from commission to Congress to State House to Senate, we have some really great
we do have some really great candidates.
We really do. We're not going to be as successful as what we would like to be because we just don't have enough people running in competitive races.
No, because everyone wants to run for Congress.
Right, exactly. Everybody wants
Everyone
the
wants
sexy
the glory seat. Like, I
Yeah.
don't understand. Like, I mean, I do understand. I do understand on the surface level because that's what the sexy,
But it also shows the closed-mindedness because you and I that have been in this game, for several years now are like, this isn't how the game is played if you want to win. And though we tell people and we tell them all the time, come talk to us, we'll help you. We'll help find you a place where you're going to fit, where you're going to and build a field team by starting out with local municipalities or special tasking districts or whatever. And we will help, lack of a better word, groom you to seek higher office eventually. But you have to start somewhere, and in order to build name recognition that's not going to cost you hundreds and at this point millions of dollars, you really need to start small because especially if you don't have a huge war chest, that name recognition.
And by huge we mean a couple $1 million, not like county commission war chest. That's like, in the half millions, that's a war chest. But for congressional races, a war chest is a few $1 million.
Yeah.
I mean, Jared Moskowitz has like $3 million.
To even be competitive in a congressional campaign, you need $1.5 million. You just do.
And that's just the primary.
I mean, we have so many gated communities and all of that kind of stuff. Like you have to have a good ground game. You have to have people on the ground. You have to do things to be able to amp up name recognition if you don't have it. And it's hard to be able to do that if you don't have money.
Yeah. Look, let me just put it this way. My estimation is in Boca, with the last municipal election between the ballot initiative questions, the 2 ballot initiative questions. So those both had money put into both sides. The mayoral race, the 3-way mayoral race, and all of the 12 city council, or was it 9? 3, 6, 9. Yeah, 9 city council seats. So 12 seats, 2 ballot measures. I estimate that there was probably about $4 million put into that. And I've asked around, and that's a lot of people have kind of said roughly between $3 and $4 million just in a city of
Boca.
100,000 people, just to win some council seats and some ballot measures. So of the city of Boca. So if you put that into perspective of what this stuff can cost when you're like expanding to these big and everything's starting earlier and earlier now. I mean, we're already getting mailers.
Yeah.
Normally you don't start getting mailers until about 6, maybe 8 weeks before the primary. I mean, I got a mailer for Scott Singer sent me a mailer, 3 weeks ago? Well, I think before the last
I
one.
got one
You
from
got
Scott
one
Singer.
from Scott Singer.
In Boynton.
A month ago. So we're talking, and I was also getting polls already starting, which polls earlier because they're trying to decide how to, the temperature of the people, but still, that often doesn't usually, I was getting a lot of them like a month ago. And I was like, this is insane. Like, and text messages. We're in like April.
Right.
Like, we're even in the month of qualifying. Like, now, okay, maybe. But, like, let's wait till after qualifying. Like, it was, so, like, the amount of money to start campaigning that early, like, it's just adding
and
to that process.
What's going to happen is our voters are going to get fatigued and they're going to get angry and they're not going to want
They're
to
probably
vote.
going to pick the person who bothered them the least.
Probably
some of these
right.
races is what's going to happen, especially in Miami, because Miami is going to know nothing about any of these candidates.
Yeah.
So you get down into Broward and into Miami, like South Broward, and the North Broward ones will know a lot of the candidates just because of, I mean, they won't know who Dan Francis is, but they'll know who Scott Singer is. They'll know who Moritas is. They'll know who Kaufman is because of other races. But, like, you get into South Broward where none of these people have name recognition. You get into Miami-Dade where none of them have name recognition. They're going to probably, like, especially because Miami people, they get pissed off easy. And so they're probably just going to pick the candidate who bothered them the least amount of time.
You're probably right. You're probably right.
I didn't hear from this person, therefore they're probably the best. Like, who knows? I don't know. The psychology of it is insane. But, like, it is just going to be wild. And I will say, kind of bringing it back to local a little bit, even though, I mean, we are talking, like, our local area, but that's still congressional races. But bringing it back to local, it's going to be very interesting to see because we are in a midterm. So it's usually more historically lower turnout because it's not a presidential election, even though for Florida, it's a big election because of the governor's race, which is a whole other conversation. I think we just wait till after the qualifying and then we can take a deep dive into that one. But it's the ballot measure, the tax amendment. So I think that's going to be an interesting drive to bring people to the polls. And I'll be curious how many people come out to the polls to vote specifically for that and then either don't vote for candidates, which I've seen a lot of people threaten to do because they're just fed up with the whole thing, or pick and choose which candidates to vote for based off of who they know, just so they can get to but they're there because of the ballot measure. And then they're just like, oh, I'm here. I'll just vote for these people. And that's going to be a lot about name recognition because they're just going to be like, oh, I saw that name on the road. I'll pick that person. Yep. And it's going to be interesting.
I remember, it wasn't 2020. Must have been 2016. Must have been 2016. I remember voting because Trump was on the ballot, but I don't remember who I voted for. I can't remember. But it was in 2016. I remember seeing a sign on the side of the road, and I know that that's why I voted for the person I voted for in the ballot booth. I was like, oh, yeah, I saw their sign. I
I did the same thing in 2018.
Like, okay.
2018.
Like, okay.
2018 in the primary for governor. In the primary, I went to go vote. I didn't know much about politics at the time, and I saw Adam Putnam signs everywhere. He was running against DeSantis for the primary, and I saw Adam Putnam signs, and I was like, oh, I'll just go with that. I don't know anything about these guys. I don't know who either of these guys are. I didn't know nothing about the primary. I just always voted.
It was our job to vote.
It was my job to vote. I voted every primary, every election. Boom. I think the only primary I didn't vote in was in my entire life. The only primary I don't think I voted in was in 2008. Because I was living in Israel at the time. So I did an absentee ballot or, I guess that's what it's called, absentee ballot for president. But I didn't do one for primaries. It was the only primaries that I didn't vote in my life. But yeah, I went to go vote and I was like, oh, Putnam, his signs were everywhere. I'll vote for him.
That's funny. Oh. And then Governor DeSantis signed a resolution proclamation declaring June Faith and Family Month.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Happy Faith and Family Month, guys. Yes. That means we get to walk out our faith and spend time with our families. I'm going to spend time with my family.
I thought it was a great way to start summer, being Faith and Family Month, especially when Democrats push Pride Month. So this is a great alternative. So our libraries are full of that garbage already. So
I know my kids want to go to the library because we go all the time, and I'm like, we'll see.
You should be on your library board in Boca.
I know. I've thought about being on the library board. I'm on too many boards. Maybe after this campaign cycle's over, I'm going to get off a few things. I got to take a few things off my plate. And maybe I will. Because I would like to. I actually would really like to. There's a few things. I do like. I love our librarians at our Boca Library. We spend a lot of time there. And I really enjoy being there. And it's wonderful. But there are some things I would like to not see there. So might be a good thing. No, I really do. The kids love going to the library, and they're great. Yeah, I got stories, so I'll save those for another time.
So let's recap the JCRC because we haven't.
We didn't do that. That's right.
We haven't had a episode since we had our first JCRC meeting.
That's right.
So we had our first meeting.
The Judeo-Christian Republican Club.
Yep. And that was on May 20th. Mm-hmm. We had nearly 70 people, between 60 and 70 people attend. We had Tom Trento and Michelle.
It just left my head.
Lubin Terrace.
Yep.
With Jexit. They both came, and Tom and Michelle each spoke separately. We had Rabbi Ira Brower
Shout out.
Yes, that did, led us in our little spiritual reflection and invocation, which was awesome. And we got amazing feedback from everybody that attended, and they're looking forward to the next one, which is going to be June 17th. So it was great. I think Josie and I did a great job. And we have a whole networking hour, like 45 minutes before the meeting starts, which I think it was really awesome to kind of be on that stage and kind of watch how people were kind of congregating throughout the room.
Yeah.
You had a little section where they were like by the candidates and talking with the candidates. You had a little section of people, because I had slides, educational slides going on. So you had a bunch of people sitting in the theater style seats that were like looking up at the screen, watching the slides. And then you had, we had coffee and snacks and tables set up where people could actually grab a cup of coffee and a cookie or a brownie and sit down and have a conversation and drink their coffee and stuff. And so it was really cool to kind of see the different aspects. And I think we were able to kind of accommodate everybody. And it was a real enjoyable time. I think there was a lot of great lessons learned. And it really just set the foundation of what the Judeo-Christian Republican Club is all about. And I think, I'm really excited for the next one, which is June 17th.
Yeah, I think it was good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching, like you said, watching everyone. The speakers were great. It was great to see Tom. I've known Tom my whole life. And it was so it was fun. It was kind of funny to watch. My dad was Rabbi Ira and Tom, because they go way back to before we moved to Florida. And part of the reason that my dad came to Florida was through a connection through Tom.
Oh,
and so
funny.
he's a big part. He's a part of, not a but a key part in my dad's story on how he got to Florida and how we got to Florida and stuff. So it was really cool to see them both together, and it was really great night. And I highly encourage everyone to join us on the 17th. It'll be a lot of fun. And tell your friends, your family, the people in your synagogue, your church that lean Republican. That it's a great place to come and have a good merging of politics and faith. Because I think that, I was listening to someone say, who was I listening to? A podcast, and someone said, someone is always going to be making decisions, and you need to because I think it was Ben Shapiro, and he was talking, I think it was Ben, and he was talking about how, oh no, it wasn't Ben. It was Michael Knowles and Winston Marshall, which I highly recommend Winston Marshall's podcast. He's phenomenal. He's the drummer from Mumford & Sons. Oh. And he left during the 2020 insanity because he wouldn't bow the knee to the woke. And so he basically was like, all right, guys, I'm out. And so he started a podcast, and he's a phenomenal interviewer. And it was a great conversation. So I highly recommend it. And so Michael and Knowles and him were talking about, and Winston Marshall were talking about how it used to be, how faith and used to be such a huge part of our daily lives. Like churches, like stores were closed on Sundays, and it was part of these things. But now there's an inverse to it, where he said that you used to teach the Bible in school and pornography was not allowed, and now we teach pornography in schools and the Bible's not allowed. And so this inverse happens. He said there's always somebody that is making decisions for the future. The question is, and so I think for a long time, the religious world has abdicated, especially the church, and to some degree the synagogues, but especially the church has abdicated their authority and saying, oh, we need to stay out of it. We need to stay out of it. We need to stay out of it. And I think that as believers in the Bible, I think that is incredibly detrimental to our lives, because there's going to be a vacuum of power always. And who do we want making the decisions about what's in our children's schools? Who do we want making these decisions? If we don't get involved in these decisions, in this decision-making process, then someone who has a different opinion is going to.
Right.
And has a different worldview is going to. And so I think that having this club come back to life and having it come together, and the opportunity for people of faith to come together in and do politics together is really unique. And I think it is very important as we go through. We're going to be going through these next, because woke is not dead. Everyone thinks we're back, and we are, but no, woke is not dead. They are solidifying their position. They are getting ready
They're going
to
to sit dormant right underneath the surface
and rebuild.
waiting for
They are going to wait.
Yeah.
The moment that there is a Democrat president, it is going to come roaring back, and we have to be ready. And if we are infighting with each other, and if we are disrespecting each other, which is what's happening right now, and just doing all of this shenanigans, we will lose, and we will lose our country. Like we don't have a whole lot of opportunity left. I'm just gonna say that.
No,
So
you're
now,
absolutely right.
Not to doom and gloom,
and
but
actually, we've been lied to, because there is no separation of church and state. Our Constitution was founded on
under God.
under Judeo-Christian, values. And so that's what this club is getting back to. It's getting back to that foundation of what do we want as conservatives, what do we want to conserve and preserve for the generations to come. And having a higher power that's higher than yourself is the best way to be able to give yourself to an evolution of being better off than you were before. You can't do that through singularity. You have to look outside of yourself and think of the bigger picture in order for people to be able to evolve forward in a way that is
Faith-based.
Faith-based is a good way to do is a good way to say that. And one of my things is that I talk about and then we'll kind of close up, is that it's like, if you remember when there were VCRs,
I
right?
remember. I'm not that young.
So
I might look young. I'm not that young.
So before there were VCRs, there were like beta tapes or something that
I don't
called.
remember. No, I'm just kidding.
And then there were these beta tapes that came out, and then there was VHS, and then there was DVDs, and then there's now digital, right?
Blu-ray and then digital.
Blu-ray then digital. So what happened is that when they created digital, they didn't stop making DVDs.
No, I still buy DVDs.
Right? So it's like, now you can't get VHSs anymore because now they've come obsolete. But it took a decade before they stopped making.
Yeah, they used to get the DVD and VCR player in one set.
Right.
For a long time. You had to have both.
Yeah. So evolution tells us that we can make things better over time. Wokeness tells us that you needed to do away with the VHS player before it was obsolete. Like, that's the difference, is that you're saying, well, you have to do this one now. Well, it's more expensive. It's not, because it's like, now digital, they've been able to make it so that it's cheaper, easier. It's all in the cloud. Now we have to have AI centers to be able to have them. But that's a whole nother story. But
that's which we are going to talk about.
Yeah.
I think we need to talk about, but not tonight.
Right. So
I don't have enough energy for that one.
My point is that conservatives have a natural evolution to things. There's a process, and it's like, well, this is good, but we can make it better. And how do we make it better, cheaper, and last longer? And
we don't just destroy things.
That's good for the environment and all of those kind of things. Where it's like, well, you can't have that. Like you have to pay 10 times more for the Blu-ray player than the VHS player. And it's like, well, why would I do that? The VHS player is cheaper, and I can get VHS people at Goodwill. So it's like you have these different societies, and then you have your economic structure that goes into that. So you have your rich people, your millionaires and stuff that are already, that were on the digital platform before they got rid of, like VHS players. Mm-hmm. So it's like, but there were still people watching those and enjoying them, and and that's my point, is it's like we have to evolve, and if we want to evolve forward in a place where we actually all want to live, we still got to get back to our basic values. Yeah. And that's making sure that we're faith-based, that there's a higher power, and that our lives are given to us by God and not by a government authority.
Absolutely. And for the record, there is a big move amongst the millennials to give their kids 90s summers along with VHS players and old box TVs. So there's like a new market for like parents who are like my age looking for going to Goodwills and finding TVs, older, bigger, the non-plasma, like flat screen TVs.
Where they're not smart TVs.
Yeah, not smart TVs, and finding VHS players, because a lot of parents have their boxes of VHSs in their garages, which I don't anymore because my parents got rid of all of ours. Or I
just got rid of mine, I think.
They converted all of our home movies to digital, and they got rid of all of the boxes because my parents they sold our childhood home a few years ago, and that was it. They got rid of everything. Which good for them, because that means they live more minimalist life, which they enjoy. But anyway, that's not my point. My point is it's like now a thing. So if you have any of those things, I am sure you could find a millennial who will buy it from you, because it is a trend on Instagram. It's a trend right now.
That's great.
Where people, and because they're doing with the phones too. They're taking all their kids' screens away, and they're putting one phone in the house, and they're making them use like one phone, like a home phone, which we've already been doing that. Yeah. But no, they did like dial up for the internet. Like they can only get on one thing at a time. Like there's one computer that the whole family has to use, and they have to take turns, and they can't get on the phone. It's crazy. Like what they're doing.
Oh my God,
is
that's so funny.
Yeah. So
that's
anyway,
so funny.
Find a millennial. I'm sure you'll be able to sell them your crap.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
There's always a purpose.
That's why if you're traveling this summer, safe travels.
Yes.
Our next episode will be dropping, I think
July 10th.
Yes, July 10th. So.
Yep. So we'll have
come see us though on June 17th.
Yeah. We probably won't have a bonus episode or anything for you, just because there's not a whole lot going on yet. So
just qualifying.
So once we get into July, we'll have a better understanding of where we're going to be. And there's lots of things going on. So we'll keep you updated as best we can. Be sure to check out our Instagram, X, and on Facebook. We're We The Locals, or We The Locals FL. You can check out our website at WeTheLocalsPodcast.com. You'll find all of our links to our previous episodes, our channels. You can subscribe. You can get all of the information before anybody else if you subscribe to our website. You can email us if you have any questions, want to send me any candidate information. I'd be happy to look at it. You can email us at wethelocalsfl@gmail.com. Any questions, concerns, anything that you heard about on the show, you can reach out to us. We'll be happy to share it with you. Any closing thoughts, Josie?
I don't think so.
All right.
Enjoy. Oh, the red, white, and blue barbecue.
Oh, yes. The red, white, and blue barbecue is going to
20th.
be at the Andre Fidel Civic Center
South
in
County
Delray,
Civic Center.
The old South County Civic Center, also where we have the JCRC meetings, at the outside pavilion on July 20th.
No, June.
Or June 20th. I said July. June 20th. I'll throw up the little
and I think it's from like 12 to 4.
Yeah. It's in the afternoon. I think it's Palm Beach Clubs.gop, if I'm not mistaken, but I'll put that on the screen too.
There's going to be a few electeds there, candidates there.
Yep.
People.
Yep. There is going to be a governor's forum. We're looking at July 15th. So stay tuned for that as well.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, so it's going to be really exciting. So have a great night, everybody, and be sure to stay local.
Bye.
Bye.